So dudes, it's your boy Tuhu. It's been what, over a month since we got the Not Cry update, now that we're like a week or two into Flintz's banner so far, and I always wanted to make a video talking about one of the new mechanics that we got with this update, but never got the chance to until now. I'm talking about the new Masterless Stella item that now allows you to take any character you want to level 100. Might be a little late to talk about it now. I mean, to be fair, I should have dropped this video back when it was, a bit more topical. So I don't know if people have just like completely forgotten about this, just like how they also completely forgot about Castorus's global ability in Honkai Star Rail, which, spoiler alert, is gonna be my very next video. So I'm gonna have a lot of fun with that. Regardless, I got some thoughts about the Masterless Stella item in Genshin and the whole level 100 stuff, so let's get to those first. For those of you who don't know about it yet somehow, the Masterless Stella item allows you to take a character's level past 90, which is the usual maximum level, up to 100. You spend one Masterless Stella, and it takes a level 90 character up to 95. Spend two more, and they go up to 100. What's nice about going from 90 to 100 in Genshin is that it doesn't require you to feed your characters more XP on top of that, because the process itself gives those characters those levels too, which is not how most gachas do this, by the way, if they feature a similar mechanic. Genshin players complain about how much XP characters need to go to max level. Now imagine how much more they'd whine about it if levels 90 to 100 also needed XP too. But this is where the problems begin. For starters, the only way you can get this Masterless Stella stuff to begin with works like this. You must first pull 7 copies of any 5-star character, either permanent or limited, and every copy of them you get afterwards gives you 1 Masterless Stella each. Or in other words, you gotta get a 5-star character, most likely a permanent one, to C6 first, and then start pulling more dupes of them. You don't need me to tell you how fucking ridiculous this is. For many Genshin players out there, dare I say, the vast majority of them, they're never gonna see very many of these Masterless Stella items to begin with, if any at all. I guess you could argue that, there are bound to be some players who have like really weird gacha luck over the years, where the gacha just happened to give them like 8 copies of like Chi-Chi, for example. So they might be able to use it, but they're the exception, not the rule. You might have already come to this conclusion by now, but this effectively makes Masterless Stella a mainly whale thing. As in, you're not going to be able to use it unless you happen to spend at least a decent amount of money on this game, either in the past or maybe you still do. I stopped spending money on Genshin about 2.5 years ago, but because I whaled pretty hard on the game during the first 3 years that I played, I ended up getting about 59, about 60 Masterless Stella when the 6.0 patch went live, because of all the spooks and the off-rate up characters that I pulled over the years. It is nice that MiHoYo made them retroactive, but given how they're obtained, yeah, I would goddamn hope so. Now let me explain why this pisses me off so much. I made not one, but 2 whole hour-long videos back in 2023 and 2024, listing off everything that I could think of that could make Genshin Impact a better game, at least in my opinion. And in both of those videos, I said I wanted MiHoYo to give players a way to limit break their characters, to take their level caps above 90 to like 100 or something. And the reason why I wanted something like this is because this is a great way for players to make their favorite characters stand out from the rest of their account. You see, gacha games are all about their characters. In my opinion, your main reason to play a gacha in the first place should be because of the characters in them, right? Because you have a favorite waifu, a favorite husbando, or simply a character you just really enjoy playing, either because you like their playstyle or, more simply, because they're meta. Before Genshin came out, I played several gacha games already. FGO, Girls Frontline 1, not 2, 1. Azure Lane, and Arknights. With the exception of Arknights, the first 3 gacha games that I mentioned all also had ways that let you hyper-invest into your favorite characters. FGO has Holy Grails, and both GFL 1 and Azure Lane both have their own ways to limit break your character's levels, and even had a marriage system. Yes, you heard that right. both those games literally let you marry your own favorite waifus. When Genshin came out in 2020, it took the gacha genre in the right direction in many areas, yeah, but one area that unfortunately got left behind largely was this element of hyper-focusing on your favorite characters. Before Masterless Stella, the only way in Genshin to make your characters stand out, so to say, from the rest of your roster was to give them crowns, because crowns are a limited time item that you can't farm, and all characters need one to go from skill levels 9 to 10. It's a nice touch, yeah, but the crowns alone weren't quite enough for me when it comes to highlighting your favorite characters in a gacha game. It's certainly not on the same level as, say, getting a character to level 100 like the Masterless Stella do. Hell, the game even puts all your level 100 characters, or at least anyone who's past level 90, up in the front and gives them a bit of aura when you select them too, which again is another nice touch. But what makes me really want to binge a bottle of Tylenol like I'm playing Left 4 Dead is the fact that the Masterless Stella stuff is essentially paywalled behind Genshin's gacha. It's great on one hand that Genshin finally has another way for people to show off their favorite characters, but on the other hand, this is definitely one of those monkey's paw situations where the price of this flex is to get more than 7 dupes of the same goddamn 5-star character. In other words, I'm pissed off about this because this means that not everyone can access this mechanic. Everyone, or at least most everyone who plays gacha, has a favorite character in any gacha game that they play, like I mentioned before. But to implement a limit-breaking mechanic, such as the one that Genshin has, that only allows certain players to access it, to use it, but not others? I don't know about y'all, but to me at least, that goes against the whole spirit of gacha games. Let me cook for a bit here. Gachas are free-to-play games, as in anyone can come and pick them up and play them, right? And because gachas are, as I mentioned before, mainly represented through their characters, I think it's safe to say that most people who play gacha play them for those characters, right? Assuming they have a favorite. Depending on the gacha, however, it's hard enough for free-to-play players to be able to pull their favorite characters from gacha in the first place. So for Hoyo to come along and add these Stella items into Genshin, right, and have them work the way they do right now is, let's just say, it don't feel too good. I mentioned some of my older gachas earlier, so let's do a deeper dive into them for comparison's sake. The most similar system to Genshin's Masterless Stella is FGO's Holy Grails system. In this game, FGO that is, Holy Grails are the equivalent of Masterless Stella from Genshin. Not exactly a perfect comparison here, but work with me. They allow you to limit break a certain servant's level past 90, first to 100, and then to 120. Here's the difference: Holy Grails are completely free. They are obtained by completing story chapters and events, and even from seasonal login events too. What's hilarious though, is that FGO also has a similar mechanic to Genshin's Masterless Stella in the form of servant coins. If you pull any copy of any servant from gacha, the game also gives you a certain number of servant coins that are used to unlock certain skills called append skills. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised if MiHoYo looked at FGO's servant coin system and Holy Grail system and was like, hey, we should just combine those two and put that shit into Genshin. What could go wrong? Now, to be fair, FGO's grailing system still works fairly differently. When you grail a servant, for example, you still have to provide the XP to level them up yourself. And if you want to get them to 120, the amount of grind that is required to get them there is legitimately something that a Genshin player would struggle to understand. And I'm not kidding when I say that. If you think Genshin is a grindy game, be glad you didn't start with pre-2020 gacha games. That's all I'm gonna say. Not only that, but extra grail levels give servants an enormous amount of extra stats, which means that unlike in Genshin, grailed servants in FGO perform significantly better than their non-grailed counterparts. Your mileage may vary on this, whether you prefer extra levels like this, giving your characters a noticeable boost in power, but for Genshin, with how you're supposed to get Masterless Stella, or rather with how Stella is implemented in the game right now, it's probably for the best that level 100 characters don't see that big of a power boost. Otherwise, Hoyo might start balancing endgame or even story content around players having a lot of level 100 characters to begin with. But the main point I'm trying to make here is that FGO's Grails are at least completely free, right? They don't come from gacha, like you can't buy them. I think the closest you can get to like buying a Grail in FGO is like, oh, if you like pay for like a guaranteed SSR banner or something. I think these days they also give you kind of like a complimentary Grail to go with that or something like that. I don't know. But apart from that, and maybe like one or two other exceptions, you have to earn them, right? Which makes them mostly fair for everyone involved. At least a hell of a lot more fair than how Genshin distributes them right now. And not only that, but Holy Grails and FGO were designed to give free-to-play players specifically a way to give their servants a massive power boost to their characters without having to spend money, because of those extra Grail stats I mentioned earlier that they otherwise wouldn't have. And let me not forget to mention that in FGO, there are 5 different rarities of characters, unlike, most of the other bigger gachas these days that only have 2, right? And Grails in FGO allow the lower rarities, like the 1 stars, 2 stars, 3 stars, to have stat lines that make them look more like they're like a rarity or 2 higher than they really are. Holy Grails in FGO are both free and powerful, right? When you Grail a character in FGO, that is a big fucking deal. But Masterless Stella and Genshin Impact are neither free nor strong. Not very, anyway. I can deal with the fact that, getting a Genshin character to level 100 doesn't really make them that much stronger, because what bothers me far more than that is the fact that not everyone can get them there in the first place. It's a whole mechanic that many players out there simply can't use. Matter of fact, they might never be able to use it at all, depending on how their luck goes. And even if it's not necessary, even if getting a character to 100 doesn't really make that much of a difference, right? I imagine it still sucks for those who just don't have that option at all. So as it stands, I personally can't see Masterless Stella and Genshin as anything other than like pure 100% kosher whale bait. As in like, come on Ishmael, let's go grab Tartaglia and go hunt some fucking whales type shit. MiHoYo is trying to bait, or at least gaslight people, at least in my opinion, into spending more money on Genshin's gacha so that they can obtain more Masterless Stella to get more of their favorite characters to level 100. I sure hope they're not doing it for like meta or gameplay purposes at the very least. And I did say earlier that something like this should make your characters feel more special, but the more I think about it, the less it feels like that's the case in Genshin. I'll admit I'm pretty biased in this narrow instance because I come from an FGO background, but it's something I feel very strongly about. This is something that I wanted Genshin to add for a very long time, but now that it's finally here, and to see Hoyo fuck it up like this, like, I don't know, man. Like, this is definitely a vibe killer for me, at least, again, in this narrow instance. For the record, I'm not gonna like quit Genshin just cause, I think they fucked up the whole level 100 thing. Like, I'm still gonna keep playing this game. And unlike most other gacha content creators out there who are scared shitless when it comes to making content on Genshin that involves anything other than talking shit about it, I don't give a fuck. I still really like this game 5 years later. It's just that, as someone who's been asking for this kind of thing for like the past at least 2 or 3 years maybe, I really wish that they did this whole level 100 thing a lot better. I don't know, maybe that's just me, so hey, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Drop a like and sub if you enjoyed the video, and check out the Patreon too if you want to support me even further. Check out the stream either on Twitch or YouTube, and I'll see you on the next one.